ambulance build. Action van suspension lift kit. So we got a Weldtec, U-joint, and action van going on this trail. My van's the Weldtec, and I have the camera set up on my van. Action van suspension and Weldtec design sucks. Is U-joint the only way to go for a two-wheel drive lift kit for Ford Econoline E-Series vans? Let's get into this. This is pretty funny. So this person bought this RV with the Weldtec lift kit already in it. They took it out, put the U-joint two-wheel drive lift kit on it, and this is what this person's going to do with their RV.
Cool build. I believe this is a Burning Man rig.
They need this for Burning Man. What do you think about when you think about Burning Man and Coachella? A couple of you sent me this video asking me what are my thoughts on it. WTD two-wheel drive lift to U-joint off-road two-wheel drive lift. So in this video, U-joint's talking about how the previous owner bought this RV. It already had the Weldtec Designs lift kit on it, and they did not like the ride at all. And the U-joint blows it away. So let's go ahead and look at some comments. Here's a few comments on that video. I love this unit. Probably talking about the RV. Weldtec equals junk. And well, that answers my question. I was considering a couple other lift options based purely on price and wondering if they were any good. U-joint responded by, unfortunately not. They are all kinds of a nightmare to drive on the highway. So the only other options is of course the spacer lifts, RTZ and Ford Parts 1. And action van suspension. So I will just say, you know, if they're saying Weldtec isn't very good, then action van isn't going to be any good, because action van and Weldtec are pretty similar. U-joint 4x4 right there. It's a Weldtec next to it. Action van suspension, action van suspension. This one arrived last night. Don't know what's in it yet. Weldtec. Weldtec, Weldtec. We have two GM 4x4s right there. We got Weldtec right there. This is my second van build. My first van build was on an action van suspension performance lift kit, and this one's on a Weldtec Designs Baja grocery getter lift kit. So I got this in 2021. And my impressions for the action van and Weldtec are the same. Rides better than stock, which is a nice bonus when you lift the vehicle. I've owned trucks before that lift kits made them ride worse. I left it overnight at Full Tilt Off-Road. They also own action van suspension, and they're the guys who designed the kit for this vehicle. In fact, it actually rides better, but when it comes to the tippiness, it feels about the same. Not dramatically different at all, not even noticeable. But ride quality improved a lot, I'm guessing because everything in this thing was 20 years old. So, you know, new shocks, new coil springs, so that probably made the ride a lot better. The ride did improve. I can't tell the difference between this and the action van. They feel about the same. Let's go ahead and talk about pricing. RTZ 2-inch spacer lift is about $150, and then the Ford Parts 1 2-inch spacer lift is around $400. But let's go ahead and compare the U-joint two-wheel drive lift kit to the true two-wheel drive lift kits, 5-inch lift kits on the market. Here's the action van suspension, their cheapest kit. The performance system, $2249. I believe they charge $2,000 for install, so with taxes you're gonna be at around $4,800. But what I do like about the action van, having experienced it, is it does have a sway bar. So that's a big one for me. It's all about the stability. And I'm going to get a high top roof for this van soon, so I really want to dial in the stability of this thing. Weldtec Designs has a 3-inch lift kit, close in price to action vans, cheapest 5-inch lift kit. So if you're not wanting 5 inches, there's a 3-inch option, and this is going to be much better than a RTZ or a Ford Parts 1. $2,400, and the install price is $1,630, so mid 4,000s for the Weldtec 3-inch lift kit. I have the Weldtec lift with the lift block. So this is the complete one with progressive leaves and king shock. So $48.80, and install price is $24.80, almost $2,500. So with taxes, that's gonna cost around $8 grand with taxes. And then of course, you know, if you add steering stabilizer, that's gonna add another $400. So let's say $8 to $9 grand for Weldtec's complete lift kit. Here's Weldtec's RV lift kit, and they advertise it as a 6-inch lift kit versus a 5-inch lift kit. So I wonder if they're using something better than the Bronco springs, the Skyjacker 186S's. So $59.50, and installation costs is a lot higher for the RV, $42.80. So we're looking at about 10 grand. And talking about sway bars earlier, I don't like how Weldtec removes the sway bar in their van lift kits, but in the RV lift kits, sway bars retain. So my theory is sway bar could be removed on a smaller vehicle. It's not that important. Like I've wanted a sway bar a few times, but every time it was like on mountain passes. Like for the most part, 97% of the time I'm not missing the sway bar, but I really do want that sway bar. The 3%, I really needed it. U-Joint's 2-wheel drive lift kit, $13,500 just for parts. I was told it's about $20,000 installed. So if you go Action Vans, $2,000, you know, $2,300 kit, you could do it yourself. Obviously it's $2,300 to do it. If you go with Weldtec's top of the line kit, you're just under $5 grand for their top of the line kit. $6,000 if you could do it yourself on an RV. So there's still a big price difference. $6,000 versus $13,500, or $10,000 installed to $20,000. So $10,000 difference for the U-joint. These actually ride better, the Action Van and the Weldtec. Weldtec was advertising their lift kits as it rides amazing. I never felt like it rode amazing, and I'll get to that later. So there's a couple of things I don't like about the Weldtec, and probably why the person who bought that RV wasn't impressed by the ride. And that being said, they bought that RV with the Weldtec lift kit already in it, so it was much worse without the lift kit, most likely. So what I don't like about the Weldtec is it uses Skyjacker 186S coils. These are coils out of a Bronco 4,000 pound vehicle. This is a 6,500 pound vehicle, so I think it's the wrong spring to lift, but probably gives it a nice smooth ride. I don't know if that was the logic. And then I don't like how the sway bar is removed. So in Weldtec's RVs, the sway bars are not removed. In the vans, they're removed, and I figure, you know, and for the most part, you know, this is small enough of a vehicle to remove the sway bar. I don't like that in an RV. You want all the stability you could get. So one of the mods I want to do with this is a Hellwig rear sway bar. But that's what I want to get into. I think Action Van and Weldtec are very good. I just think they're incomplete. I've seen posts on Instagram of people I'm following with Weldtec Designs lift kits, and they're saying off-road, it's great, it does even better the faster you go. And in my head I'm thinking, I'm not feeling that. So what I'm noticing about the people who talk highly about Weldtec is they have progressive springs. I'm just running the lift block, and I'm going to talk about that later. Like I said, maybe these kits are incomplete. There's a few things you need to do to them to get it right. I'm not unhappy with it. Like I said, rides better than stock, but I'm not feeling that amazing. But a lot of people are telling me progressive springs make it ride a lot nicer. And I have a buddy with the Camberg Designs lift kit, and he's running Deaver springs, Deaver progressives, and I'll share all this. I'll mix this all in with this content. But yeah, someone with the Camberg is telling me Deavers are really good. It's night and day difference from that and a standard, you know, leaf suspension with the lift block.
Deaver Springs in Santa Ana built me the leaf springs, and I'll tell you what, that was a godsend. The stock leaf springs are horrible in a van. They're horrible in an F-Series truck too. They're really thick. You'll bounce down the freeway unless you have a big load in it. They're
So you are an advocate for rear leaves versus the blocks. There you go, guys. See, we got we got a guy with custom rears.
Yeah.
So to achieve the lift, it's custom springs versus the lift block.
There's no lift blocks.
There you go. And this guy has it, so we got an advocate for it right here. This guy.
Well, it came with a cambered front bent I-beam suspension.
Here's my unbiased thoughts on Ford Econoline E-Series two-wheel drive lift kits. Action van suspension and Weldtec, they're fine. If you get their 5-inch lift kits with the lift block, it will ride better than stock. And what more can you ask than riding better than stock? I bought into the hype with the Weldtec. I was expecting amazing. It's not amazing. It's better than stock, but I'm really interested in getting progressive leaves now, because a lot of you are talking highly about progressive leaves. So if I do that, that basically means the kit's incomplete. You do rear lift blocks, you're getting an incomplete kit. Still getting a good kit, but incomplete. Another thing that is a big priority to me is stability. I'm gonna get a high top roof soon. The 3% I missed the sway bar was on mountain passes, and with a high top roof, I know I'm gonna miss that sway bar even more. So I gotta figure out a way to get some front sway bars in this, and maybe a Hellwig rear sway bar. My buddy Joey, she just got some Hellwig sway bars. So my buddy Joey, she has an action van suspension lift kit, and she wanted to make hers even better, so she got the progressive leaves. And if I'm not mistaken, Weldtec and Action Van uses the same progressive leaves from Atlas. So Atlas progressive leaves. My buddy John with the Camberg van, he has Deaver progressive leaves. But my buddy Joey told me with progressive leaves and the Hellwig rear sway bar, she went with both at the same time. So she got the Action Van lift, and then a year later, rear leaves and a Hellwig. She said her van is so much more stable now. So that's what I'm thinking. If you get a 5-inch lift kit, AV or WTD, just the lift block, you might be a little incomplete. They're good. That's what I want to let you guys know. They're good. Like if you're looking at all this, you know, if you're watching U-Joints videos, you might see that. Or if you're on forums, forums are the worst. If you go on forums, you know, people might try to talk you out of getting Action Van or Weldtec and tell you U-Joint's the only way to go. It's not. Maybe if you have an RV. So I'm speaking from the perspective of a van owner. I think the two 5-inch lift kits are fine in a van as is, but it looks like you could do a few improvements to them Hellwig sway bar and progressive leaves to get it more dialed in and be even better. U-Joint makes the most premium and expensive suspension for Ford Econoline E-Series vans and RVs, but we could still learn from them. So what are they doing and what tricks are they doing that we could actually afford? So check this out.
And then we got this spec'd out with upgraded Hellwig heavy duty sway bars front and rear.
So look into that Hellwig rear sway bar in a vehicle as big as a van. You could, all the stability you could get is a bonus. This is pretty funny. So this person bought this RV with the Weldtec lift kit already in it. They took it out, put the U-Joint 2-wheel drive lift kit on it, and this is what this person's going to do with their RV.
Cool build. I believe this is a Burning Man rig.
They need this for Burning Man. What do you think about when you think about Burning Man and Coachella? I think about like rich boomers and trust fund babies. So that's what they're gonna do. That's why they had to get the U-Joint 2-wheel drive lift kit. They're going to Burning Man. What are you gonna do with your van? Are you gonna go to the beach, do some light trails? You just wanna look nice in your driveway? Action Van and Weldtec are fine. You're gonna be more than happy. Who do I recommend? Action Van or Weldtec? Call Action Van, call Weldtec. Who do you vibe with more? Who do you like more? Similar product. But yeah, like I said, if there's something in your head telling yourself you might want to go four-wheel drive one day, yeah, don't waste your time on Action Van or Weldtec, because none of those components are going to work with a U-joint four-wheel drive conversion. You might as well buy the one, if you have the money, that is ready for a 4x4 conversion. Like, you just got to swap the axle to a real one from the dummy one and a transfer case. You got a four-wheel drive van. And then if you really just want two-wheel drive lifted and you have the money, according to U-joint, theirs is the best. So you might as well buy the best. But you know, if 2,500's in your budget, 2,500, 2,200, and like 4,500 installed, you know, 5,000-6,000 installed, Weldtec and Action Van are fine. You're gonna be happy. Let me know in the comments section if you have an Action Van suspension or a Weldtec and you're more than happy, you're really impressed by it, and it's way better than stock. If this is your first time on my channel, here's my van. Pretty much a no build. This is my road trip, camping, off-road rig. The E in E-Series means everything, because that's what I do with this van. It's getting a high top roof soon. It's gonna be a budget sports mobile. Filming multiple videos today, that's why I'm in a different spot, but I wanted to add this thought to end this video. So you look at Action Van suspension and Weldtec starting price if you install it yourself, and you look at the installed price versus U-joint's install it yourself price or their installed price. So Weldtec's top of the line kit, 10 grand installed. U-joint's two-wheel drive lift kit, 20 grand installed. If you go four-wheel drive conversion, 30. So 10 grand versus 20 grand, two-wheel drive versus two-wheel drive. U-joint better be a lot better than Weldtec and even Action Van. I think Weldtec and Action Van are on the same level, but U-joint for that price, yes, it better be that much better. But I wanted to make this video because if you're hanging out on forums and you're watching people fight over which lift kit is the best, just remember this: when people buy something, they want to feel good with their purchase, so they're going to defend it. They're going to get a little crazy. This is my level-headed assessment of all these lift kits and four-wheel drive conversions. I do lifted van meets. I've been around a bunch of Action Vans and Weldtecs. In fact, my lifted van meets are mostly Action Van and Weldtecs, like 80%. Then you're gonna have your AJs, you're gonna have your U-joints, and you're gonna have a couple of spacer lifted vans, Ford Parts 1 and RTZs. But it's mostly Action Van and Weldtecs, and they're both fine. Like I said, call both companies, spend your money on the guy you like more, who clicks with you more. Who do you want to give your money to more? They're on the same level. Then when you go U-joint, you're going premium. You're going with that option of maybe going four-wheel drive someday. So if it's in your head that you might want to go four-wheel drive someday, don't mess around. Just get the U-joint two-wheel drive lift kit, and I would like to see it. So if you have one, come to one of my lifted van meets so I could feature it. I really want to see it up close. Action Van and Weldtec, at the end of the day, Weldtec bends the I-beam, puts a taller coil. That's how they achieve the 5-inch lift. Action Van suspension relocates the pivot brackets for the I-beams and puts a taller coil. So they're both using a lot of the stock components. They're just lifting it. When you go U-joint, the whole front is reworked. You know, when you look at Action Van and Weldtec, it's modified radius arms or custom radius arms and relocating or bending the I-beam. So very close to what stock is with the Action Van and Weldtec. Like I said, U-joint better be a lot better for being reworked like that. So dummy axle, some beefy leaf springs, it's different. It's more expensive. So enjoy what you can afford. Here's the answer that no one's gonna like. Most of us lift our vans because we're car guys or car girls, car enthusiasts, and it looks cool. And that's what I say about Action Van and Weldtec. They gave us the opportunity to look cool like a Quigley or a U-joint AJs for the fraction of the cost. But you want to talk off-roading, most off-road trails are clearance obstacles. Most of us are not going to the Rubicon or Moab. Stock van is fine for most trails. A stock SUV is fine for most trails. When you get lifted, you're mainly wanting to look cooler, and you're getting a little more off-road capability. Like you could do river crossings now when you're lifted. So that's the truth right there about Ford Econoline E-Series lift kits. If you enjoyed this video, you found it informative, let me know in the comment section. Give it a thumbs up, give me a hype, and I hope you stick around, because that's what I do on this channel. I just talk truth, no hype. But you can give me a hype, but I just call it how I see it. Yeah, UJOINT's gonna talk smack about Weldtec. Weldtec talks smack about Action Van. In fact, Weldtec talks smack about everyone. Just a lot of smack talking, except Action Van. They don't have an online presence, but I get it. Vendors, they gotta gas themselves up, man. They got a product to sell. Of course, they're gonna tell you the other companies suck. I'm not a vendor channel like Weldtec or UJOINT. I have no sponsors, no one's paying me what to say, so I get to say whatever I want. So this is how I see it. Weldtec or UJOINT, they're not gonna feature each other in a positive light. Let's say UJOINT brings a Weldtec lifted van on their channel, and the Weldtec van keeps up with their four-wheel drive van. So UJOINT's potential customers might say, you know what, let me spend a lot less money and get a Weldtec instead. Now let's say Weldtec brings a UJOINT 4x4 RV on their channel, and their RV gets stuck, and the UJOINT doesn't get stuck. Maybe potential RV lift kit buyers are gonna say, you know what, let's spend the extra 10 grand or 20 grand and just do it the right way, get our $100,000 RV four-wheel drive converted. So Weldtec might lose potential customers featuring a UJOINT four-wheel drive RV on their channel. I'm noticing Weldtec is featuring a lot of 4x4 lifted RVs now, like $100,000 RV builds. So that's what I'm seeing right now. It's a lot of it is for looks. A lot of these people getting Weldtec two-wheel drive RV lift kits, they're just rich. They want to look cool. They want to make sure their sewer pipe clears their RV camp spot, because those RVs are so low. Sometimes you'll scrape your sewer pipe going into a driveway, or, you know, at an angle. Same with the UJOINT. You saw what the person's using their UJOINT for. They're going to Burning Man. So yeah, it's a lot about image. It's a lot of marketing, and it's a lot of hype.